National champion, the current one, and with another win under his belt this year, has earned $112,505, third on the money list. If he can go all the way, he would be number one on the Winter Tour. Watch his smooth shot. So some of the waiting pressure, waiting to get into this match against Tony Westlake, always helps opening with a strike.
Chris, not taking anything away from the other champions this year, I feel that the three best players so far in the Winter Tour are bowling right now in the last 3 games.
And Westlake, who defeated Mike Albee 239 to 214, answers right back in the first frame.
Westlake, a young man who grew up bowling what we call action. He liked to play a little match game play, Friday nights, Saturday nights. Got a lot of experience bowling throughout the state of Oklahoma and definitely down in the tough country of Texas.
Puts the pressure back on Brian Voss, opening with that double. This is a real fencing match now between two 29-year-olds. We'll be giving you leaderboard updates throughout the afternoon here and on Wide World of Sports. And then the national champion is faced with this.
Starts the ball right up at the pocket. This is the tighter of the two lanes, and he leaves the 4-9. Needs to get the ball over to the left of the 4-pin and slide it over into the 9.
Not to be. So it's an open frame. We asked Brian about a blister on his right hand, the tip of his middle finger. This is what he said.
Well, earlier in the week, I kind of developed a little blister on my finger. It's been irritating. It's a little bit painful, but this is a big tournament, and we're kind of used to bowling with a little bit of pain. We learn to deal with it. That's how we make a living. I don't think it's going to affect my strategy today or my performance. I'd like to win this tournament.
Okay, the 4-9 in the previous frame, more of a problem, of course, because he came up with an open, and now the 3-6.
And he just flipped that ball off that injured or blistered middle finger. It actually hung up in the finger hole. He flipped the ball in the lane and hooked too much.
Fair in the third for Brian Voss, who finished second overall in this field of 52. Winner of this game into the championship match against the tournament leader, Mark Williams. Double up, third frame, Westlake. Last week when he won 4 matches, he strung 7.
Well, Chris, he was using 2 different bowling balls in the first match. He was using a high surface friction ball on the right-hand lane and then a low surface friction ball on the left-hand lane. Now he's opted to just stick with 1 ball as he started with 3 strikes in a row. He has the full grip, fingers inserted just down to the first knuckle.
Tony Westlake of Edmond, Oklahoma, has 4 in a row in his second match of the afternoon. Back with more following this. We're here at Riviera Lanes, finals of the Firestone Tournament of Champions. We've had 2 games completed, Albee beating Mark Baker 236 to 185, then Tony Westlake 239 to Albee's 214. Here is Brian Voss trailing by 42, spare up shooting in the 4th. Oh yeah. While we were away for a commercial, he was really practicing his arm swing.
Just trying to loosen it up, a little extra pressure here at the Firestone. You want to see one of the ideal games in bowling. No cupped wrist there, everything right in line with his target. Tremendous extension through the shot, a slight natural hand rotation. Look how low he is to the foul line. Foot perpendicular to the foul line. Lots more money this young man's going to win, but right now he needs to put some pressure on a red-hot Tony Westlake.
And that double will help. Fourth in averages thus far in 1988. Mark Roth, the leader, with 218.7. Brian averages 217.
This is just a dandy shot by Brian Voss as he's playing that outside line. You see him lift through the ball with the wrist, right around the first arrow, sends it wide, and he has to like that one.
And the string broken at 4, leaving a 9-pin on the right lane. Tony Westlake exhaling, a little of the pressure off now.
Westlake, who is playing just such a beautiful shot right around the first arrow on both lanes, giving the ball more room on the left-hand lane. And you can see how hot he is by that graph. 3 300s in the last 2 weeks.
All right, Westlake leading here by 31.
And Chris, I had a chance to hit a few balls with the next Masters champion from Akron, Herman Kaiser, yesterday. Wonderful opportunity.
All right.
As you see, Tony Westlake, who had a 30-pin lead, as you like to say, Chris, the bowels of the bowling lane. That's called the turret, and it takes the pins that were just knocked down by this person, Tony Westlake. There are also 10 pins waiting in the deck, as you can see those in the bucket right below it, ready to be set for the next player.
Okay. Open with 4, marked with 2 spares. What machinery, what an ingenious invention. Incidentally, the National Invention Hall of Fame is going to be headquartered right here in Akron, Ohio. Will you be represented in that Hall of Fame, Bo? What have you invented?
I don't know, not too much, but that pin setter's been around since World War I times and just became popular in the late 40s and 50s. Revolutionized the game.
Someday, despite that 7th pin, this man will be in the Hall of Fame. And since I'm on that interesting subject, though, the Pro Football Hall of Fame is nearby Canton, and the National Rock Hall of Fame will be in Cleveland.
Well, here's a real rock thrown by Brian Voss as he just saws that 5-pin off, and it just misses the 7. He needed that strike.
That was sweet music to Brian to cover that pin and almost took out some of its vengeance with the speed of the ball covering it. Spare in the 6th for Voss, trailing by 31.
Brian Voss, son of a U.S. Air Force officer, learned to bowl in Anchorage, Alaska, graduated from high school in Bismarck, North Dakota, went to Mesa College in Colorado, then went in the Army for a 4-year stint, stationed in Germany. That's where he really got his bowling experience, and just what a quality player he's developed to be out here on the Pro Tour.
Tapped on the left with a 10.
Here's a hit we see quite often. Here's the 6 pin. The ball is not quite flush in the pocket. It's not quite high enough. The 6 pin will just go down in the channel and not quite get to the 10. Now, this is what we call the weak 10 or soft 10. Easy spare for Voss.
All right, we're in our semifinal match of the Firestone. More of it after this. And there is a confident tournament leader, believe me, Mark Williams of Beaumont, Texas. He won here in 1985, so he knows what it's like to be in that championship match. We'll be coming up very soon, following the conclusion of this one, where Tony Westlake on the approach now is going against Brian Voss, leading by 32, a spare up for Tony, 7th frame.
Well, Chris, Dr. Cool out there from Oklahoma. The crowd was kind of joking with Mark Williams on the side. We've seen other players somewhat perturbed by that kind of action. Not Tony Westlake. He says, the ball's in my hand, the lane's in front of me. I have a 32-pin lead. Look out, here I come.
Compact and strong. Is laid down to 42 with that strike in the 8th.
Tony Westlake following his pro forma. He started with an 18-mile-an-hour shot in the first 4 frames, picked it up to 19 in the 6th frame, in the 7th frame, and picked it up to 20 miles an hour there in the 8th frame. So we talked about that 290 average. He bowled 2 games, both starting with a spare and finishing with 11 in a row. That average will be knocked down a little bit with this game.
Like the Brian Voss that we have seen over the years, who has won 6 titles: Quaker State, Southern California, Greater Detroit, Houston, Toledo, the Trust Corp National Championship, and the True Value in Peoria.
Watch some interesting pin action. The ball's going to hit the 1-3 and keep hooking to the left of the 5 pin. You see that? And actually the 9 pin was taken out by the 5 sliding behind it. Just tremendous pin action. But right now, Voss must at least jump on that. He can't afford to let that not become a double right here.
That's a challenge at this point. Brian Voss, who did not bowl last week, taking the week off, whereas his opponent in this match won 4 matches. He's won 1 here today, so he's on a string of 5 on TV.
Voss, rosin in hand, working on that finger. Here's the man who's got to slow down for them all. And he does.
Listen to the murmur among this capacity crowd. Rightfully so. The 3, 6, 7, 10. What do we do here, Bo?
Chris, he has to get the ball to the right of the 3-6 and slide that over into the 7 pin to convert this split. He could have just about locked up the match with a strike there, and if he doesn't make this split, it'll be anybody's ball game.
How did it miss? Great shot, however. Open in the 9th.
Here he goes. He sends the ball out over the 3rd arrow, drifts out to about the 6th board. He looks like he has it. He's confident of the shot. Now watch the 3 pin. It just slides in front of the 7.
His lead now is 16.
Westlake coming up in the 10th frame, going at a 2:22 pace. Voss still has room for 2:26. It's anybody's match.
No, the 10th.
Cannot shut out Voss. With this spare, he'll be in 220. Voss can throw 2 strikes to win the match. And look at that. Does that change his feeling about this game? He came in here, and at the press luncheon this morning, he says, all I want to do is win. Score means nothing. He's not even thinking of the money. I want to win. And he will have a chance in the 10th frame.
Pivotal match, always the semifinal, because if you win, you go into that championship match. Total of $78,000 at stake.
Count ball doesn't mean very much at all. If he would strike, he would force Voss to get 2 strikes and a 7 count. And that's what it is.
All right, 222 to go along with his 239 victory over Albee in the previous game. Now it's up to Brian Voss. Pressure.
Voss taking a few deep breaths to gather his nerves. Chris, I was in the same position 1978 against Tita Semez and messed it up. I hope Brian doesn't do the same. He needs 2 strikes and 7.
Just didn't come up, leaving the 2 pin. Tough break for Brian Voss. Second victory for this Edmond, Oklahoma resident. Tony Westlake, professional bowlers cheer will continue after this message and a word from our local station.